Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first session of the Stella Smart Beauty Awards 2021, sponsored by Latest in Beauty. My name is Annabelle Jones, and I'm the beauty editor at large at The Telegraph. Tonight's session with Exploring the Icons is with Ruby Hammer. And over the next 45 minutes, we will begin touching on the shortlisted products for the Subscriber's Choice Award. We will then be tapping the brains of makeup guru Ruby Hammer, working our way through her personal iconic products and solving your beauty dilemmas. Without further ado, I would like to welcome my guest, beauty pioneer Ruby Hammer. With over 25 years industry experience, Ruby is one of the best known and well-respected makeup artists in the world. She was appointed MBE in 2007 for her long-standing contribution to the cosmetic industry, and she's a firm favorite with us at the Telegraph Stella magazine. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ruby.
Hello, Annabelle. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? So nice to see you.
Absolutely lovely to see you this way, and I'm thrilled for Stella and Telegraph to have me on.
Yeah, I mean, this is like your regular judge on our Stella Beauty Awards, and we always love having you. So we're going to start by talking about a few of your favorite creams from the Subscriber's Choice shortlist.
There's a very good, it's a very, very good list, and I think it's a very nice definitive list. So if I'm going first, I just want to say that these creams are after the first pillar of makeup or skincare is make sure your skin is thoroughly cleaned, because otherwise all these iconic creams, whether they're a gel or a formula or a serum, or expensive or reasonable, will not work if your skin is not clean to begin with. So bear that in mind. We're not going to say it again, but we're assuming clean,
beautiful clean skin to begin with.
Totally, because none of this will work if that isn't the first canvas that's nice. I'm going to start with one of my favorites because that's in my kit and has been in my kit for the last 20 odd years, and this is Kiehl's Ultra Facial Cream. And I'm sharing that because I have that in my kit because I know that it's nice and light and fluffy. It won't have any fragrance, and it's not going to irritate or upset or sensitize a whole multitude of people. So I put that in my kit not as a cumulative something that's going to be great for your skin on a long-term basis. I need something in my bag that will always work, whether you're 12 years old, whether you're 70 plus, whether it's red carpet or whether it's on a fashion show or a shoot. So that has absolutely, it's one of my foolproof creams that doesn't offend, hydrates, provides a great base for makeup, and time again, I go back on there and it never leaves my kit, to be honest.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Everybody always wants to know what's in the makeup artist kit.
Do you want me to call out a second one, or are you going to do
one? I mean, I've got a few here as well, and I think we both chose Charlotte Tilbury's Magic Cream.
Yes.
So, yeah. And I know a lot of our readers will also be a fan.
Well, I've got to say, she's another one. She's a phenomenal makeup artist, and she used to have this pre-blended cream that she used to take on her fashion shows and work on all the girls, you know, great big stars, the Victoria's Secret models, her red carpet. And eventually, and she also applied it a certain way, you know, she massaged it and she depuffed the face, and she has a certain way of applying it with a little bit of a firm touch. So people would keep asking, what is that cream? What is that cream? So in the end, when she knew she was going to be making a full-blown line that is amazing, she formulated that cream, and it's called her Magic Cream. And you know, Charlotte's got a lovely way with words, so that encapsulates it all. Magic Cream gives you magic skin, so it's hydrating, depuffing, and firming, and fantastic under makeup. And what I really love is, now that we're all into sustainability and being able to recycle, that tub now comes with a recyclable filler. So
Yeah.
finish that, you can actually, you don't have to buy the whole jar again, you just buy a refill and put it in. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
even more genius. Well done,
Yeah.
Sean.
Yeah. And then, yeah, what about CeraVe, which is maybe a little bit more affordable?
Well, I suddenly thought you don't want to sort of scare all the people that are out there, because people have different budgets. They read so much information out there. And I love this brand. So this I used to stock up on when I was in America in all the drugstores.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
woe is me, I've not got there in the last 2.5 years, and
Yeah.
who knows when
I
we're going to be
know.
allowed to get back there again. But thank God it's available in the UK now, and it's available in, Superdrug and Boots and places like that. So it is fantastic because, again, it is light as a lotion. You can wear it in
Yeah.
the day or the night. It's fantastic because it's got no sulfates. I'm reading here, but yeah, it's got no fragrance, no sulfates. It's just, when you want a solid, good cream, nice under makeup, and you haven't got a big budget, but it will not shortchange you. So never panic. Always have a regime in place. So if you've got something like that and you're religiously doing that and massaging in, applying it all, it'll work for you. And then try and get yourself a treat later on with some of the other fancier creams that we're going to be talking about now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what I like about CeraVe as well is it's ceramide based, and so that obviously helps to sort of seal in your moisture and keep your skin from sort of dehydrating, because I have constantly dehydrated skin, so I really appreciate that one. And I think we both talk about the Augustinus Bardo, which is a little bit on the pricier side.
Got that here.
Yeah.
To be honest, this is a real cult. It has become a cult since its launch, and it's not been that long, has it really? It's sort of cutting edge STEM technology, and the gentleman is a biomedical founder, and it's a patented formula. So underneath there, when you look at it, it says this thing TFC8. So nobody else.
Factor complex,
yeah. It is amazing. And I have to say, again, I bought it from Cult Beauty when it was first launched, because I couldn't get hold of it anywhere. And they have two creams. So they have the cream, which is probably best for sort of more oily or normal, or maybe if you want it underneath your makeup or in hot, humid conditions. And then they do the rich cream, which is superb for slightly more mature skin, or if you're a bit more dry or dehydrated, as you said. And it's also, you want that difference between the dehydration and actually being dry, because it could be the environment, the pollution, the sort of not anti-aging, but the sun damage that you may have accumulated. So you want something in the long term, every day, with twice a day use, that will tackle all of that. And it is expensive, but you literally need 2 pumps spread upwards, outwards, and you will notice a difference in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks.
It's interesting because I actually, when it first launched, I did an experiment because I interviewed Professor Bardo, and he said he used it for everything, for cleansing his face, for moisturizing. He doesn't use any other product. So I actually did that for a month, and my skin had never looked better. So that was, quite a nice memory. So it was expensive, but it does, do a lot of things.
And something else is, when it's expensive, and people, that you weren't giving it free, I think you religiously, you go through and you use it. Oh my God, that costs a fortune. The other thing I've seen is lovely. There's a lady called Harriet Westmoreland, and I went for a manicure with her. She used that. So if you're worried, the residue of everything that's left from your face, take it down your neck, take it into your décolletage. Every one of these creams, do not just stop there. You must
Yeah.
work it in, down your neck, back of your neck, and into your chest and this area down. Decency means we can't flash our boobs off to you, but you must take it down,
Yeah,
and
that's a great.
you'll get all the benefit of everything.
Yeah,
And then extra, just put it on your hands, put it on your elbows, just slather it on wherever you can,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then it won't be wasted.
yeah. That's a great tip. So, talking about how to apply creams, if we move to your expertise in makeup and prepping the skin for makeup, do you have any tips about priming the skin before we even get to makeup, or is there a certain way we should apply things, or how long we should leave after we put our cream on before we do our foundation?
The most important thing I said, I do that on everybody, is I start off with a clean skin. So I will, even if they've said they've woken up and it's first thing in the morning, I still want to clean their skin myself. So with a micellar water or cleanser, whatever, that they're not irritated, they're not allergic to anything, I will clean from here upwards, and it refreshes them. I might use an essence, I might use a tonic. So what I want people to know is that when we are professional makeup artists, we spend as much time on that prep. It's not just get down, sit down, straight away slap on the foundation. You've seen it, haven't you, Annabelle? You've been privy to so many shoots, and even when you do yourself, you know that you do the prep, and then you get a wonderful effect. So cleansing, toning, whatever, and then moisturizing. But moisturizing by warming it up in your hands, by applying it and massaging it through, all in these bits, all in that bit, tapping, removing that bit of excess fluid or puffiness, and just getting that circulation going. So you do that. It's not half an hour. We're not having a facial here, but 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, if you can stand it, to just get that blood and circulation over. You'll need less product. You'll need less concealer, less corrector, less foundation, less of everything. So you must do that. And if you're going to do your lip, this is a lovely time, must use a lip balm, because that's all part of prep. And, and then if you've got skincare concerns, like it's dark circles or wrinkles here or there, that's the time to put all that in, allow it to set in, give it time to actually melt into the skin. And then you think, okay, is this going to be a long day for me? Am I going to a wedding? Am I in a humid temperature? Okay, I might need a primer. So that's when you bring out your primers. And one of my favorites are, and we're talking about icons, so it's Laura Mercier, and they've got a full range in there. They've reformulated, and there's one for everyone. So whether it's illuminating, whether it's protecting, so it gives you some protection, whether it's oil-free, so for somebody who has a greasy T-zone, all of that, you might just need it on this bit, but you need hydrating there, boosting your radiance. Some of them come with a little bit of a bronzy effect, to give you a bit more of a color. All of that, that's when you've got a myriad of primers out there, from Benefit, from Urban Decay, from Smashbox, whoever. Just pick one on, but just use a dot of it and just where you need it. You don't want to see a big thick layer anywhere. But once you
you don't want to you don't want a greasy surface to start your makeup
at all, and not excessive. Like sometimes it could be that you're very red or you've got a bit of rosacea here. You might need a green color corrector or a primer that's like that, but you'd literally tiny bits and work it and blend it away, really smooth it out and look at your face to see I've not got, that is even, because otherwise you're going to get a very nice blend here and you've left it a bit too thick there, and it's going to go all a bit patchy and streaky. So you want it to be nice and even.
Yeah, I always think when I work with makeup artists like yourself that it always reminds me of how I use too much product because makeup artists are,
Oh,
always very light-handed and layer things,
well, one of the things is we don't want to aggress the face that way
No.
when we're doing the massage, but we also we want lovely thin layers of everything. You can get 20 layers on as long as it's thin and gossamer light.
Yeah, and that is the secret to a lovely complexion.
There you go. And when it's thick, and now listen, I'm a woman, I'm also time poor. If you've got children or you've got all sorts of chores to do or you've got work or you're commuting, I know that you think you're doing it quickly, but you really must take the time to make sure it's smooth and even. Now, it's easy for me on a day as a makeup artist because that's what I'm being paid to do. So I am attentive and focused. But even me as a woman, when I'm in a rush, I'll put my blender on and then I have to listen to myself going, Ruby, did you blend it properly? Was that a nice thin layer? Because otherwise people are scanning my face to see, oh, she didn't get that right then, did she? So I'm telling you, I know as a woman how time poor we are, but that is to get the best.
The most important step.
Have to take the time.
So we're getting a lot of questions come in about complexion. So I'm thinking now that we've covered our iconic creams or some of our favorites, we might want to move on to prepping the complexion part. So going on to concealers and foundations, and I can't wait to hear all of your tips.
Oh, look at that. That is a wonderful...
So this is actually, this is popped up on the screen, but this is a shoot that you did the makeup for. I think it was 2015, 2016.
It was 2016, it says, if I squint my eyes. But it was amazing because it was shooting for Stella after a long time. And it was with your colleague, Sonia, and it wasn't with you, but I'm looking forward to some with you in the future. But that was a wonderful shoot because look at that. It's women of different ages and different colorings and different features, and it just means you don't. I think if anyone asked me in the beginning of my career, what am I known for? I'm not the most avant-garde makeup artist. There are lots of amazing artists out there, but I know the one thing without fail that I am good at is great skin, and that's across the board and across ages. And it's not just on camera and it's not just on film. I think I managed to do, because it's my personal aesthetic, I like to see skin that you can have. And that means that's why I need all that skincare and prep. And then I pick really lovely products that are, how can I say, that are for your skin type. So I don't come with a preconceived idea of what I'm going to do to you.
Of a trend.
Yes. I look at the person sitting in front of me, and that is what you must do. So it doesn't matter what you look like 10 years ago or when you were a teenager, or, oh my God, I look lovely at that wedding. You need to look at your face every single day in as natural light as possible, in good light, so that it's even, so it's not silhouette-y, you're not in darkness here and extreme light here. Flat on, good light, and good tools and good products. And one of the best foundations, I have got to say, I can see in that article there's a Bobbi Brown stick one, which is also an iconic one. But this one, it's the
Armani Luminous Silk.
Oh my God. So you know it, that there's no makeup artist that does not have that product in there.
I know, talking about iconic products,
there you go.
Definitely within the beauty industry, beauty editors, makeup artists alike all have that foundation.
Every makeup artist has it. Every beauty expert has tried it, and you know what? They've expanded that color range. It is wonderful because it also adjusts and it looks good in every light, daylight, fashion shows, black and white pictures, flashlight, Instagram, social media days now, whatever. So just for you, it is really good. And it gives you just enough cover to hide all the bits that foundation has to do. And yet it allows the skin to breathe and the thing that you can't tell somebody is how it feels. It feels light. It doesn't feel oppressive, does it? It doesn't feel like a hot blanket.
No, and it's one of those foundations for me anyway that I try lots of new things, and I get really enamored with new products, and so many great things coming out all the time. And then I sort of see that in someone's kit, and I'm like, oh, I just want to go back to it for a little while again. It's like one of those,
and
you never get tired of it. Yeah.
You will always do that. And as I say, they have added new shades, and it is brilliant. It is brilliant. So there are lots of other foundations out there, but I think since we're talking of iconic, that has earned its place in the iconic hierarchy, hasn't it?
And just also moving on from a classic foundation, somebody here wants to know your recommendation for a BB or CC cream, and with an SPF 50 if possible.
With what, SPF?
With an SPF 50 if possible.
Oh my God, there are many out. So it might be IT Cosmetics might be one of the best ones to go for CC or BB creams, don't you think? I think they're the ones.
Definitely. I mean, I actually like the Bare Minerals. I've got a couple of really lovely ones. I think the thing with BB and CC creams is that they can vary. So one BB cream can be very sheer and light, and then another, some CC creams can be a little bit heavier, like the It Cosmetic one. But with the SPF 50, I mean, I think if you're looking for high coverage, it's better to use a separate SPF 50 over the top. Yeah.
Now, I'm just going to add that for me, on shoots, I can't use a BB or CC cream, and certainly not with that much SPF in it, because there can be flashback for photography or for shows, and I cannot control that. But the BB and CC creams are great for women or people who use makeup in real life, because you want a little bit more cover, and you want three things in one. You want a concealer, you want a foundation, you want your sunscreen, all in there. So that's what they're good for. And I think look for like Korean brands that do that, because they really address that very well, or Korean technology, because they're that technology. So I would say that's great. I don't use as many of them on my shoots because I can't control that, and it will end up looking a bit thicker, and the flashback comes through. So for brides, I can't use that kind of creams, but they're fantastic for everyday use because it gives you protection and cover. So, and you're right, you have to test that. None of these, looking at it one way, foundations you can even play with, but they're that bit thinner. But if you don't get the right BBCC cream, you can end up looking very ghoulish, can't you? So that's the thing. And again, very light-handedly. Don't pack on a lot.
So I'm going to ask the question because I know a lot of people always ask this.
Yes.
Concealer or foundation first?
For me, and again, there's no right or wrong way, but for me, I do foundation first, because it's like, just covering a whole wall. So it's got lots of bigger space on your face. So you do that all over. And actually, if it's a good color and a good texture, half of the things you're trying to sort of mask or just, blend away might have already been done. So then you can use concealer very strategically where you need it, which might be around here. You might have the odd bit of pigmentation like I have. You might have dark circles. So then you can reach for your concealer and just dot a little bit on where you need it. Whereas if you do it the other way around, you might blend away all the concealer and everything that you've done, and then you have to put foundation on again, and then you might have to
and then it's just layering product over product.
Foundation.
And you mentioned pigmentation, so I'd love to know any tips or tricks for covering pigmentation, and also dark circles.
Okay, let's tackle two first. Let's do the dark circles first. Dark circles under the eyes, people think they're just there. They're not. They tend to be a little bit in the inner corner of the eye, and then they go like that. You see, look, if you look in the light like that, you can see my dark circles. When you lift up in the light, dark circles have gone. So all we're trying to do with a bit of concealer or corrector is exactly that play on light and dark. So I would say to someone, if it's extremely dark circles, you may need a corrector, which is a bit more of a peachy toned or apricot toned, kind of very lightly applied where and only where it is dark. Or you might have a pigment patch, you just dot onto those areas, blend that in, let that set in, then you put a concealer on top. And they usually look scary. They look like, you know, Crayola. They look like really bright, but they correct, they undercut that gray.
Yeah, I have actually the NARS new one here.
Yes.
Which comes in lots of different shades, but the Radiant Creamy Color Corrector, which when I first got it, I looked at the color and I thought, oh, that looks a little bit orange, but actually it has this sort of amazing way of tricking the skin into, diffusing the dark circle. And
they do look scary, people. They do look scary, but you just need a smidgen, a dab where you need it, and then wait for it to actually really absorb, and then put your concealer on top. And two of my favorite concealers are, again, under the eyes, you need a lighter texture, so it's slightly more fluidy. So it would be something like the NARS Radiant Creamy Foundation. It could be another iconic product here, you know, the Yves Saint Laurent.
The Touche Flat,
which again will just lightly, it's not a concealer, it's a light reflector. So it will take that, but they do that now in a sort of longer wear formula. So you will get it to do what a concealer will do, will hide those circles away. And then if we come to the pigmentation marks, under the eyes, you usually choose a concealer that's a lighter shade, one shade lighter than your complexion. When you're doing scars or a residue of a blemish, or you might have pigmentation marks, which is what I have here, if you're darker skinned, or even if you're as fair skinned as you are, Annabelle, when you're healing from your time of the month spots, say, it sort of goes a bit darker or it goes a bit red. So you need something that's not as fluidy light. You need something, and I'm going to haul out, this is another one of my favorite secret concealer. So it's slightly thicker, and I like to do it strategically. I think on those areas, I don't blast on a big thick layer. I pick my little magnetic brush and I pick a tiny bit, and I literally look where it is, and I just dot it on there. I dot it on where it is, and then I use my finger to just melt that into the skin. So whatever it is you're using, just strategically put it on there. You don't have to cover the whole area. My other little trick is I use an eyeliner brush, a clean one. So I keep it, these are my magnetic brush ones, but again, I pick up a thick, you know, a texture like that, thick one, and you see a little spot there, say, dab it on and melt it through.
All right, so for precision.
Yes. So what people think is you need a product and whack it on, and you know they do the huge big triangles of concealer. I feel you're only drawing attention to exactly what you're trying to hide. And I think if you're more strategic with it, so it just goes where it's needed, and definitely use your finger to dab that, blend it, pat it. It just melts it, and the excess will come on your hand and not.
And you're pressing it in, not rubbing it in.
There you go. Press. And it's literally, the other good thing is another iconic product to use for all of these skincare and cosmetic and complexion products is a beauty blender. So that, or small one for getting into that area. Dab. This to do a whole big area. So learn to use one of these things so that you're using it to buff, or you're using it to tap, or you're using it in these areas, these areas, you know, get down there everywhere. So make these your friends, as well as these digits, as long as they're clean, you can massage all that in. And if you've got brushes and you buff it in all there, all fantastic, can't go wrong. But just know you've got to really look at all the nooks and crannies and strategically apply all of them.
And I have to ask, do you use a damp beauty blender or do you use it dry?
Okay, so when it's this size and it's for applying foundation, dampen it. Lots of people don't, but when you dampen it, it absorbs less product and it's spongier and fluffier, and you can buff it out a bit. Then I have the small one, and I have two. So weirdly, they come in packs of two. I keep one to do all my concealer work. So that one I do wet. And I keep one dry to strategically set all of this with a translucent powder.
Oh, I love that.
I just like, look, this is, let's mention another iconic product here. So once we've done base, corrector, concealer, people then just go off and start doing their makeup, and I'm like, and then they complain because I'm sure you get lots of letters and requests and questions going, oh, it doesn't last long, it's moved, it hasn't settled. Well, the other tool we have in a makeup artist professional kit is translucent powder. And this is one of my favorites. It's from Laura Mercier, and it comes in 3 or 4 shades, but there are some lovely ones, vegan brands, from Hourglass, from cheaper to more expensive, whatever it is, get a translucent light powder. So what I love for that is to just take my little beauty blender, the little one, and my other little trick is, if you don't use big packs of powder, get the little travel sizes. You know, Shiseido do them, Hourglass do them, Laura Mercier themselves do. You use, I dust off the excess, and I just literally can do that. I can pinpoint there. I can just go under the eye there, and I can still leave all this area shiny and glowing and radiant. You see in the light, I can see a little bit of sheen there. You can just plonk it on just where you need it. Not everywhere.
This is one of the tips that I've picked up recently, because I used to be terrified of powder. And actually, a friend of mine in the office the other day sent me an email saying, should I be using powder? Because I feel like it's a bit old-fashioned, but I feel like I'm shiny. And I was like, yes, you definitely should use it. But just as you say, just very, because I think people have that sort of vision of taking a big brush and powdering the whole face and looking a little bit too dry. But you want the cheeks to be nice and dewy and radiant, and you just want to do the sides of the nose, a little bit under the eyes, maybe a tiny bit.
Just look, the other thing you could have is a tiny brush like that. So I've got a color, this is my color, so I have a translucent one in my kit, so it's for every shade. I have the medium beige, the deepest beige, so you can again flick, dust off the excess, and go like that. Again, it's not a massive big brush, because what you just highlighted there, this is not a bronzer. You're not, for bronzer, you need the biggest, nicest, densest brush you can to disperse that color evenly. This is all about control. So pick, when you're doing your concealer, when you're doing the powder, when you're doing anything, think of it as strategically controlling it to allow that bit of radiance and glow. Because what is the point of using these magnificent iconic creams, these magnificent iconic foundations, concealers, correctors, powders, and all, if all you're going to look like is a thick layer and doesn't show your lovely, breathing, beautiful
radiant skin that you've
radiant skin. Whatever age, this is not ageist. We all want to glow, and anything that masks that by being heavy-handed or thick in texture or super matte everywhere, you're going to look like a Madame Tussauds waxwork doll. What you want is grace and light and movement in your face, so that somebody says, what a beautiful woman, don't you look lovely? Not, my God, you've done your makeup really well for Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not the goal. So
I mean, I do think personally, if you invest, I mean, I know that there, you know, people are on a budget and, like you said, are time poor, but investing in the right complexion products. I mean, I have 3 different types of concealer, and I could just have that and a lip balm, maybe a bit of mascara, and I'd feel okay. So I think it's what knowing how to apply it. Yeah.
I agree.
And then you can have a really inexpensive lipstick and, you know, all the rest of it. Yeah.
Or an expensive lipstick, or you can use these products and then have an expensive skincare, you know, like one cream does it for you. I mean, I was just going to say, like, how does a product become iconic? It's because of usage, experts using it. More and more you keep going back to it, so it becomes an iconic one. So one of the things, like, sometimes, like you just said, you have 2 or 3 concealers. I have the same. I have 2 shades in the Radiant Touch and 2 in the slightly thicker formula. And I can do they ask me 100 times a day, like, Ruby, what did you use on your face when you were doing that posting? And I say, I didn't actually use any foundation. I had very, very good cream, and I use exactly that, lighter, you know, and a thicker one here. I've got a bit more tan. All right, I'll use something a bit stronger here, but that's all I use. And then I put on a blush, I do a bit of mascara, I do a bit of a hybrid on my lip, and that's it. And then I take a bit more time when I need all that, you know, that I need to be photographed, or I need to be in a wedding that I know I need to be photographed again. I want to look fantastic. I take a bit longer time, and I apply those products. Nice.
Yeah, because I think that even though there's some amazing foundations, I think that people sometimes put too much onus on the foundation to do everything, and then you end up applying too much because you're sort of trying to, when actually a tiny bit of concealer in a few strategic places, and all of a sudden, you know, you
will see the difference. And do you know what? You know what I said when we started our session? Slather on the cream from here to here. Pat that on, slather it on everywhere. The rest of it, cosmetic, the ones that have got pigments and colour, sparingly. You can always add, if you've applied a light layer and it hasn't quite worked, you wait to beat and you apply another layer. I've done that, where there have been days when I was going through my menopause and I had not slept and the skin is tired and it's a bit crepey and it's not, you know, I did prep it. I put an eye mask on, take that off, massage it, get the circulation on, and then I did my concealer. I'm about to go out the door, look myself in the mirror, still there. I do another layer, very thinly, just there again. So this stuff you do sparingly. The care you do, you know, with a freer hand, and you will, like, I loved what Annabelle said, that you really get to see beautiful skin when you do that. And otherwise you start off plastering it all on, then you've got to put in your features back again using a lot more concealer, contour, highlighter, all of these things you're going to bring to give you shade and light.
I still haven't got to grips with contour. I feel like I'm waiting for it to go out of fashion again, so I don't have to deal with it.
I think you don't have to worry now. So it's now, you're not out of fashion if you do not contour, and you're not just trendy. Now I think the choice is you can if you want, but they're also, because technology advances and people's taste change, there you can contour in much more lighter, liquidy textures or creamy textures to make that work for you. So I think that no disrespect to Kim Kardashian and her sisters, but that kind of full-on contouring we don't have to do now, because a lot of people just haven't got her skills, or her makeup artist Mario doing it so well, and he did it magnificently, so we all wanted to look like that. But if you're not spending the time and doing it like that and taking that time, it's just going to look ghoulish and not very flattering. And at the end of it, why are we doing all this? We just want to put our best face forward.
Yes, yes. Okay, so I'm looking at the time and I'm thinking, yeah, we've got about 5 minutes left.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so let's have a look here and see if there's any questions that we haven't already answered. I'm just gonna, yeah, let's have a look.
There are loads of questions. We will answer later, but what we can...
Okay, so what about this one? What's the best setting spray, and do you even use one?
I do use one when it's say it's a bride, or I'm going to be in the studio and it's going to be a long day. Then I love a little bit of a mist. So one of the Urban Decay ones are fantastic because they're one of the original ones. But I actually think now a lot of brands have them. So if you like the foundation and concealer from a particular brand, just get one of those spray ones to set very lightly, but again, not here, because you're going to get pops. It needs to be a nice fine mist to just settle that down.
Okay, brilliant.
Fly here.
So here's a question. You brought up the menopause. Somebody wants to know, what's the absolute necessary skincare product during menopause?
I really think your elasticity of the skin is going to go, and then you might get, like I got a little bit of like adult acne, but it, you know, on my chin and things. So to be honest, you need something that's going to nourish and not irritate your skin anymore. So a good one of those iconic moisturizers, because I've got a fly floating around, go away. One of those iconic moisturizers that we mentioned, especially here and here on the jawline, because this is where you get the slackening and the loose of firmness, but you need the hydration and possible anti-wrinkle effect. Any one of those creams, I think a cream, you need to cleanse well and then buy the best cream you can afford to deal with that. And then drink water and try to sleep.
Yeah.
Try to sleep. That's one of the
sleep, the holy grail of all beauty. If you can get it. So somebody would like to know, can you recommend a good tinted moisturizer for darker skin?
Okay, my two favorites, Laura Mercier, have a whole new, it was an iconic before when she first launched, for how many years ago, 20 years ago. It's iconic now, they've reformulated, more shades. NARS, Radiant Tinted Moisturizer, superb. Then there are some lovely ones from Fenty, you know.
Yeah, I like the Fenty Skin
Free one. Those ones are fantastic. So there are lots of lovely ones out there.
Okay. Okay, so going back to what you were talking about earlier, somebody wants to know, what's the difference between a corrector and a concealer?
Okay, so a corrector is for something like if you've got very red flushed skin, we might use a little bit of a green corrector to counteract that red. So for rosacea or high color, that's a corrector. If you're very sallow skin, like you've been ill or you haven't had a lot of sun and you know you've got just very yellow skin that looks a bit lifeless, you would use a lilac colored corrector to bring radiance and vibrancy to your skin. If you've got dark circles or pigmentation marks, you need an apricot, peach, those kind of scary looking correctors like you said earlier, but they counteract that dark grey dinginess.
Yeah, it's like a sort of illusion, isn't it? They diffuse, they're not covering it, they're just diffusing or softening.
They, like an artist, they counteract that darkness or light or whatever. And then a concealer will help hide what flaw you may have or what you think you may have, and that just goes on top of your corrector or on its own. That's what I think. every woman should have the right concealer in her, in her repertoire, because
Yes,
it is
100.
sometimes it's even better than a foundation. I'm telling you, the right concealer, or 2 shades of it, or 2 textures
Well,
of it.
interestingly, you mentioned to me earlier about Jones Road.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So I said.
So Bobbi Brown said to me many years ago, and I reminded her the other day because I hadn't seen her in like 15 years,
Yes.
that she's the one who said to me, as you get older, you need more concealer and less foundation.
I'm telling you,
that was a game changer for me.
So I said earlier, how does something become iconic? It takes many years, but Bobbi Brown, the makeup artist, Bobbi Brown, the founder, not the brand, has launched another one called Jones Road. And these are little pencils. And she's got 25 pencils. And you just use the little thing to correct or conceal, and she can do it a full face. She hasn't got foundations. You can use these pencils to apply where you need. So I have a funny feeling, Miss Bobbi, that your Jones Road corrector, these pencils are on their way to become an iconic product too.
Yeah, because it's actually quite a unique product. It's a concealer, but it sort of also works as a sort of a base. You can use it sort of all
multifunctional. It's multifunctional. So actually, if you picked one of the dark, like that's my corrector concealer pencil for doing like the dark bits, and then I've got a darker one which you can contour with, and I can even do it on there to give me a bit of shade and light. So
they're very clever.
This is gonna be,
and you don't need much skill for those because it's not liquidy. You don't have to,
it's like a crayon. So if you're like a kid, where you just draw but use the finger to set it, to blend it, to put the heat in, to push it back in there. And then the other one, I think if we've got time, I want to highlight and mention is Monica Blunder. Yes. So it's in a little pot like that, and there are about 14 shades, but they go from the palest to the darkest. They are fantastic. They look like that. They look like a solid, but it thins out to nothing. So you can use it as a concealer, slightly thicker where you need it, thin as a tinted moisturizer where you need it. It gives you cover, no cover, any part of the body. So the Jones Road and Monica Blunder are on their way.
The new icons to come.
Yes.
Great. Well, I've had so much fun. I hope everybody.
So have I.
Yeah, I always learn something new when I speak to you, and I know that everyone at home will have picked up some amazing tips.
I really hope so. I really hope.
And you're an icon in yourself. So we're like,
bless you. That's really.
We're so thrilled to have you again. So I want to thank you for joining us, and also to the audience for watching. Just to let you know that the next session of Stella Smart Beauty Awards 2021 will be taking place on Tuesday, 31st of August, where we'll be joined with the renowned makeup artist Mary Greenwell and our beauty director Sonia Harrier to discuss my favorite products and also give a makeup masterclass. So I hope to see you all then.
We'll be watching that one. Yeah. I'll be watching that one in the audience.
So thanks, Movie, and thanks to everyone for joining. See you next time.
Annabelle.